What's up everybody? Today I'm going to share with you 3 tools or features to master as a beginner in ArchiCAD. For you to learn and understand how the software functions, you need to get the basics or the fundamentals right in order for you to deliver project successfully and become efficient. I like to say, don't fight the software, rather let the software do the job for you. Without any further ado, let's get started. The first tool or feature to master, these are attributes, element attributes. They are a definition of your project elements, or you can say they are groups of defined settings available to your project. In order to access these element attributes, you go at the top there, the top menu, and then options menu, and then element attributes. You would access list of all element attributes available in ArchiCAD. The first in the list is layers. Layers are a system. By default, ArchiCAD comes with a layer system. We use this layer system to control and manage the visibility of project elements within the file. So once you throw in or put or place element in ArchiCAD or an object, automatically it will be assigned a layer by default. You can also override or overrule this system by creating or assigning your layers manually. So if you open the layer settings, you would see in this template we have created our own custom layer system that we can help us to manage and control this efficiently, because it's important to have a system that it will help you or enable you to assign layers easily within the project file. Because once the project becomes, or once you populate the project with a lot of elements, it creates more layers. I hope this makes sense. So the more project becomes complex, the more layers are going to be created. To create a layer, you just hit on new here, or you can rename a layer, or you can delete. There is one layer that comes with ArchiCAD that you cannot edit or delete, which is the ArchiCAD layer. Just to mention, it's very important to mention this. There's a reason why this layer you cannot tamper with it. As you can see here, the rename and the delete tab is inactive. The reason is if you want to delete a layer, for an example, or to rename a layer to something different, you have to assign, let's assume that layer that you want to delete or rename has elements assigned within, or elements assigned under it. So if you delete it, that means you're going to affect elements that are under that layer. So by default, ArchiCAD gives you a chance to move those elements into a different layer. For example, by default, that will be the layer that you find where everything gets lost, which is ArchiCAD layer. So let's delete or make an example. I would want to use a wall layer, for example. If you hit delete, it will give you this window to move elements that are under this layer to ArchiCAD layer. You can create a different layer if you want, but I rather use this one because I can easily manage and monitor everything clearly without having difficulties. As you can see, let's just cancel and then cancel that. Yes, you can see every layer has an extension. This extension helps us to identify these layers while we are within the project. And extensions, they define the category or the class of that particular element of which it's important. We have other element attributes such as composites and profiles. This uses other element attributes to create what you call a definition. For example, let's open a composite window. In this window, you see there are different elements here. These elements are called skins. Skins represent materials in this definition. If you are aware, the building materials, they are also assembled using other elements attributes like the hedge, surface, and the pen set, for example, just to mention the few. As you can see, then collectively there are be combined by a composite to create a definition. If we go back to the project here, I would select, this is a composition, for example, of a wall. As you can see, it's different types of materials to form a wall. That's how we build in real world. So if I select this wall and then go back to the element attributes and then select the building materials, it by default in this window, ArchiCAD will highlight the material that are on the selected element. For example, we have how many materials here? We have a plaster, we have a core brick, and then insulation. Yes, there are 3. So I should have 3 materials here selected. We have a plaster, that is a lime sand material, and then let's go down. We have the insulation material here, and then the brickwork. So if you look at the assembly of this material, they have the structure and appearance. The structure has been defined by the hatch, and then the appearance, which is more like physical appearance, is defined by the surfaces. And then you have also your other attributes here, which is a pen set to define the pens or the line weights of the hatch. So that's what you need to understand. Other element attributes will use other attributes to formulate or to combine them to come up with a definition of an element. So things that needs definition or elements that you can use this powerful feature are walls, slabs, and they're actually even listed here. Let me just open the composites. Yeah, you can use a composite with a wall. You can create a composite for slab, roof, and a shell, of which is important. So it's good to understand this because some they will struggle, for example, by defining the pen weight. As you can see the true line weight for this wall. The plaster are on a lighter weight, and then the core brick are on a heavy line weight. So you need to understand the way to define this. But if you don't know, or if you are just using, it's unlike using a basic wall. For example, let's just use a basic wall like that. So this doesn't need a composite because it's just a basic wall. What you need to do is to define its attribute is just to select the material, and you define the line types and pens under floor plan and display section, as you can see. But if you are creating a composite, all these lines and patterns are defined within building materials and the composition. So the composition definition, of which it's very important to understand. The second feature or tool to master is Property Manager. This is user-defined data assigned to an element or building materials. In most cases, is to improve or to provide additional information to the project element or component. As you know, guys, ArchiCAD is a BIM software, and within the BIM methodology, we use information to inform better our projects. So information handling is key to the success of a project. Let's see how you access this Property Manager. You go to Options menu, and then you open the Property Manager window. Within this window, there are some groups. For example, we have a group called Wall, and within this group, it has properties under it. These properties, the houses, or they have the definitions of elements in a form of text or in a text-based value. For example, if we select the wall type, it has different, it's been assigned a definition of option set. This means you can have different options of wall types, as you can see. So if you open the option setup, we have different types of wall. This is key to the template because, most especially depending on the region you are, you can select by drop down arrow and then assign whatever definition or material to, or different type of, or any type of wall to your element. Let's see how this is going to affect your element within the file, within the project. Let's cancel, and then if I select this wall and then open its settings, if you go down to the classification, let me just create enough space by collapsing these sections and then drag to stretch this here. If you go down here to the classification and properties, firstly that you need to do, but we'll cover it later after this. These are classification. So you need to assign a class to whatever element you need to. In this case, it's a wall. So we have parameters that are derived from properties or property manager. So in this case, we have we can key in the input, but I want where we accessed those drop down menu. So you scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll up. So we have finishes here, wall finishes. Remember that type we were discussing, wall types. Under wall finishes, we can select different types of finishes we have, depending on your project standards. In this case, what for the template, this is what we provided. These are generic wall finishes. You can pick and choose from the list. That's the significance of handling data in ArchiCAD. These are just text-based, but you can attach it, tag it into your elements, and then reuse it and extract it further or further to other consultants that are involved in the project, or any stakeholders that is involved in the project. You can have an option where you can input text like in this pan for product information facility management. This is key for facility management because you can put even cost, rate, anything, serial number to a wall or whatever element that you want to do. So it's very important, like I said, guys. So let's move on. This will lead us to the next tool, which is classification. They work hand in hand, property manager and properties and classifications. For example, to access classification within the settings of an element, this is where you assign a class to the element. So let's go back to options and open the classification manager. There are different types of classification manager depending on the region, or classification system depending on your region. And by default, ArchiCAD comes with a classification system, which is as you can see. And then we use a Uniformat 2010 CSI to manage and control our information within the elements. It's very important, guys. This will give hierarchy to your project elements, because at the end of the day, these project elements or these 3D elements and objects has to be defined. They need to know that they are a wall, I'm a window, I'm this. That's what we call classification. Whatever you put in your project, be it an object, a component, or an element, it has to be assigned a classification. This will help us now to categorize, rank, control, manage, schedule, group. We can manipulate the hierarchy of these systems to come up with different types of information or different types of operations. So as you can see here, under substructure, for example, let's say shell, under shell, which is the envelope of the building. So we have superstructure, we have floor, construction, and then there are some subfolders again to further define your element, as you can see. So let's say I want for the walls, which is building vertical exterior. Yes, we have exterior walls, and then we can also go further to define our wall. What type of wall is that? So if I select this class, it will give you the properties available or assigned to this. So it's important. So to assign a property, for example, let's say you go to edit, you can assign all property like this, and then it will give you everything that is on your property system, as you can see. But we'd want to say custom because they're different, and every group has been created for a different purpose. So I don't think you can have a universal. No, you can have a universal group, which is for example, which I have. Let me just close it so that you can see. If you go back to the property manager, we use the facility, the product info as a universal. Every element or component or object within the project has to be assigned this, because we want to define the cost, the model, the purchase price, the barcode, and then the description. Just a generic description for the, and we can also use these descriptions or the text that we are inputting here to annotate our drawings, of which you see how diverse this information can be. Or we can use it again to schedule, to extract your schedules of all elements, whatever what you want to create. Let's go back to the classification manager. So let me say I want to assign it a universal. So I will go to edit, and then let's go for product info, assign it all like that. So I'm assigning the description, blah blah blah, and then hit OK, and then hit OK. So I'm going to assign a classification, that specific classification to this wall. Let's go back, and then I think it's the wall veneer, then choose. You would see this information we've been added is going to be added here under classification, under properties. So if we select the wall veneer and then choose, you see now there will be more information added, like the product info. And then here we can key in info, maybe just a specification of this wall. We can give it a size, and then the material, we can give it oh, how do you spell bent? Oh, sorry, Bentley bricks plastered on both sides, finished or painted, blah 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 blah. Then we can assign it a serial number depending on what type of element we want, a barcode. Copy this, the year, acquisition date, blah blah, the cost of that, or the purchase price, and then hit OK. So if I want to display that information in any view, in any viewport, so I can do that. I can use a label tool under documents. Click on label, and then I'm going to use, let's open settings. I'm going to use a label called, oh, let me just scroll here. I can just use a label called classification and properties, or I can use a text and auto text. This, from the recent versions, it has been a powerful feature to have in our labels, text and auto text. Let's just click it and then say, and then let's click on the element. It want me to define what it is. You can type that information, but that would be a waste of time because we already have information to extract. So what I'll do, I'll just go to insert auto text, and then I'll go down here under properties, and then let's go for product info, and then description or specification. That information will be displayed here. That's the power of using this user-defined data within your project. So I can have this on a, I think it needs to be horizontal. I'll go here and the label, make it 0, something like that. Yeah. So that information can be visible here. Whatever changes you're going to make within the information, automatically it will be assigned or updated within your label. So that's the most important part of doing that. We can also use to tag our elements classes. For example, this would say, let's click and then go back to the insert auto text. This time around I'll say classification. I'm going to pick this, the one that we've used for the system, the Uniformat 2010 CSI, then add. So it will give me or display the ID, which is from the system, and then the description or the description of the class. So you can have both this in your display. It will depend on whatever information, how deep or whatever information goes to. So that's the key, guys, to understand. Before you can even think of modeling and doing one, you need to understand these basics, because they're the ones that define your project. You can come up with a beautiful, well-assembled model, and then if you don't have this done accurately and perfectly on your project, you're going to struggle because your information will be haphazardly managed. So you need to understand this first before you can even place. So before you can even place an object, you have to set all this so that it understands the layer that is supposed to be in, the classification that is supposed to be in, the property data that it has to display, depending on the view. There are different types of views. We have floor plans, which is different floor plans or different or floor levels, for example. And then we have elevations. We can still use this information on elevations. We can also use it on schedules, where it's very powerful. So yeah, thanks guys for your attention. I'll see you in the next video. But don't forget, guys, there's an opportunity, an offer that we created, whereby if you buy our MS BIM template, the latest version, which is 2023 professional template, you are being awarded or rewarded by a 6 months monthly subscription membership for our Patreon account. In this Patreon account, we share courses, we share ebooks, project files, resources like project details, and other materials like templates and presets. So go down in the link on the description to grab this opportunity. It's for the first 50 people, and it's worth $150 for 6 months, because it's around $25 per month. So if you multiply by 6, you get 150. So I think that's a lot, because that's a lot to save, because for the next 6 months we'll be worrying about nothing. We'll be just emailing you with the latest files that we have. You'll be receiving all the latest files within your email. So that's the importance of having our Patreon membership. Thank you guys. See you in the next video.